Ready to move on?
Moving on.
Moving on. All right. In America, in the United States of America, more children every year die from pneumonia than they do firearms.
So the only thing I really know about pneumonia is that after becoming ill, you collect fluids in your lungs, and basically it asphyxiates you, and you can't breathe, and you pass away. That's all I know about pneumonia.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I think it's like multiple different viruses that can cause it. I'm not sure.
Like I said, it's a respiratory illness at that point.
Right.
So, and also, I guess to piggyback off that one, more children in America die from influenza every year than they do firearms.
Yep, that's the the flu virus, right?
Influenza.
Yep.
Yeah. Which, I mean, technically over the past 2 years has become the pandemic virus, we'll say.
I don't
Did
think
you hear about anybody getting flu over the past 2 years? Anybody at all? Anybody?
I mean, I think there's many different types of flu, but basically, the media hasn't been focusing on the aspects of flu because they've been pushing their COVID narrative throughout these last couple of years.
But I mean, that's not the question I asked. The question: have you heard about anybody? Have you heard anyone you even know getting the flu?
I think, generally speaking, if you're ill and you don't test positive for COVID, then most likely you had the flu.
Right. I mean, I would agree with that, but I mean, doctors won't even tell you got the flu.
That's true.
Hey, you're COVID negative.
Right. That's all that too. Right.
But you're still sick. That's it. That's all I'll say about that.
All right.
Anyway, moving on. Moving on. Every year in America, in the United States of America, more children die from birth defects than they do firearms.
I'm not so sure there's much you can do about that. I think that's
No, there's absolutely nothing you can do about that.
Right. It's just nature, natural.
Nature,
right?
Yeah.
There's the one thing with like birth defects, it can be caused by like chemicals and things as such.
Mm-hmm.
But also defects can also be maybe you have like
it could be genetical too.
Yeah,
maybe it skips a generation or something.
Right. There's also defects that are positive and negative. So some defects will hurt or kill you, and some defects make you more capable in life, and that's basically how nature works. And civilization, or not civilization,
kind of like adapt to overcome situation.
Right. Some of these adaptions or genetic defects make an creature, not just human, more successful, and they tend to survive longer and produce more offspring, and that becomes the new, maybe a new species at some point. It's just basically saying it's
a new species of humans. That's just what you said right there. I'm sorry.
I'm not specifically talking about humans. I'm talking about nature in general.
Okay.
On how nature progresses and animals become different kinds of species.
Fair enough.
And genetic defects are one of those lines of creating new breeds and species.
Okay. You want to move on from there, or do you want me to keep going on about it? You just talk about a new breed of humans. This is a whole other podcast.
All right.
Anyway, moving on. Every single year, every single year, never fails. More children in America die by suffocation than they do from firearms.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to suffocate.
Now, I mean,
I'm surprised.
I assume the SIDS is kind of a form of the suffocation. I should probably lump those in together, but
I mean, there's probably like a swallowing something too large for you to eat.
Choking,
choking
hazard.
Plastic bags.
Yeah, Legos.
Yeah, Legos. Basically, small toys that children shouldn't be playing with. I mean, literally, there's thousands of things around the house a child could.
But remember, guns are the number one killer of children in America.
Well,
according to the leader of the free world,
we all know it's a lie, anyways.
Yeah. So, you ready to move on?
Moving on.
In America, every single year, it never fails. Hepatitis C kills more children than firearms. Hepatitis C. Do you actually believe that one? Because when I saw that, I did not believe that. I was like, no way. No way.
I've heard of hepatitis C, but I literally know nothing about hepatitis C.
No way. There is no way.
I think it's something that affects the liver.
Like I said, medical questions, we divert to Cindy.
Right. I don't know anything about it.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know anything.
I've only known maybe like one person my entire life that I positively knew that they had hepatitis C.
It's fair enough. You want to move on from there?
Moving on.
It actually sounded kind of depressing.
Yeah.
Just like all the research I did. I'm trying to bring as much energy as I can to it.
Yes, I think that in some instances we might be rubbing people the wrong way. I'm gonna assume. We apologize. We don't mean anything against.
We're basically just shitting on the president of the United States right now.
Yes.
No. Yeah.
Pun intended. There's no pun, but.
Actually, there might have been.
Okay.
We're going back to talking about diarrhea.
Right. Okay.
Anyway. Still, either way, moving on. Every single year in the United States of America, United States, probably, I mean, let's be honest, the most advanced country in the world, in many ways.
Right.
More children die from malnutrition than they do firearms.
I think, I would assume that a lot of those issues are tied to drugs as well. Because the parents
are using the money.
Parents are using the money for drugs and alcohol rather than feeding their own children. And that's a shame. It is really a shame. I don't know how to fix that one.
Nope.
I have no clue how you would fix it.
I don't know either. I don't have anything.
Right. I assume that there's good people all over the country that if a child needed food, everybody would open their cupboard doors to that child. All that child would have to do is walk next door to the neighbor, and
I'm hungry.
They'd feed you.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly would.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you on that. Moving on. Every single year. It sounds like I've said that a lot in my own head.
I mean, what else are you going to say?
We're trying to drive a point home.
Right.
Every single year.
Don't run over any children while you're driving.
Oh, what?
Don't run over any children while you're driving.
Fair enough. Every single year in the United States of America, more children die from fire than firearms.
Fire, son. I don't even know what to say about it. You know what I mean? A fire is a fire. generally speaking, it's accidents.
Fire's a fire. Sure.
Generally speaking, it probably mainly occurs in the winter months when people's heaters are on.
Yep, that's fair.
That's all I got. That's all I got for that one.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Moving on. Every single year, more children die from brain damage than firearms.
I mean, I assume that's for the most part accidents. I'm sure there's some
accidents and actually,
right.
I was going to say abuse or missteps rather by parents with young infants.
Right.
Whoops.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider those accidents too. But there is some abusive parents out there that would just punch their kid in the head because they didn't do the right thing or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Which I'm not against a parent disciplining their child to some extent, even physically, but not to the point of beating or brain damage.
Well, I mean, I would say don't go nowhere near the head.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
I mean,
right. You're right.
I don't know,
but there's nothing against like a small smack. I have been smacked by myself as a child.
I'll tell you a story after we're done recording.
I don't want to hear your abuse stories.
I don't have any kids, so don't need to worry about it.